Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you. Thank you for checking out the channel. It is Game 5 day as the Miami Heat backs against the wall, down 3-1, going to Beantown today to try and extend this series against the Boston Celtics. And if they're going to do so, they're going to have to do it without their stud rookie, Jaime Jaquez Jr. He is out, hip flexor strain. You guys maybe noticed at the end of the last game, a lot of Patty Mills. Jaime Jaquez went back to the locker room. I was not boots on the ground for that one, but at the time I had seen tweets from people that are like, it doesn't look that serious. Dude, you never know. You never know what's going to affect somebody. You never know. Look at the Terry Rozier thing with the neck. We're like, yeah. He'll be right back out there. I haven't seen him since, the Pacers game. So it's a real bummer for Jaime. You know, people were sitting here and debating, should the Miami Heat even make the playoffs if you're going to get drilled by the Boston Celtics? Brr. Of course I want a series against the Celtics. I'll take a series on the chin, okay? But I want the Miami Heat to get experience for their young guys, to have them go out there and say, hey, this is what Heat Celtics is. These are the feelings. Their media will make stuff up. It's going to get a little bit chippy. It's also highly competitive. And I just think that all that stuff is important for young guys to experience. I was asking Jaime about this on Sunday before Game 4, and I was discussing with him one-on-one about the playoffs. And I'm like, I'm sure you've asked and leaned on vets about, like, hey, what are the playoffs like? And here's what he had to say.
Is it, I guess, lived up? I'm sure you've leaned on the vets about what that was going to be like. Has it lived up to that, or has there been things about playoff basketball that you haven't expected yet?
No, I mean, I think it's pretty much everything they've told me it was going to be, and more. The intensity, the attention to detail, the crowd, the energy, it's just all heightened when you get to this level, especially this time of the season, it's postseason, so everyone's, it's win or go home pretty much.
Everything is heightened in the playoffs. And so for him not to be able to go, and I don't know, if the Miami Heat extend this, I don't know, it's every other day. So there's not going to be some magical 2-day rest in between here. If they win Wednesday, they got to get at it Friday. If they win Friday, they got to get at it Sunday. When is the time for him to heal? He didn't travel with the team. He's staying down in Miami, which also, it makes things tougher when you're not having those couple days. They just say, hey, just stay here, rehab, see what's going on. So that training room will be busy between, him, Jimmy, and Terry, because Terry was traveling with the team. So even he's sticking back with the club. But, Spo is going to tell you at shoot around, which I think is around 11:30. He'll probably speak around 11:30ish, noonish. And he's going to tell you the magic words, the 3 magic words that define him and define the organization. And that is, we have enough. And it's a noble thing. He is a beautiful, competitive maniac who will never, ever drop an excuse on anybody. He will always say that the team has enough. But you do get to a certain point where you're like, when the hell is the breaking point? Well, they're probably already there, to be honest with you. I mean, objectively, they're probably already at the breaking point with no Terry, no Jimmy, Duncan Robinson playing with the back of somebody in Century Village. Obviously the thing that happened to Jaime, he's not really playing Kevin Love. I don't know if that's an injury thing. I think it's more of a matchup thing. Although Kevin Love is even dealing with something on his non-shooting arm. So, yeah, all of this stuff it does get you to a point. It does get you to a breaking point. It also makes you wonder, all right, where do they go in the starting lineup? And you think, all right, you got your 4 spots, Bam, Tyler, Nikola, Caleb Martin. Your rotation the rest of the way would be Haywood, Patty Mills, DeLon Wright, and then, of course, you got Duncan Robinson, Kevin Love, who really are giving you single-digit minutes. So are they in the rotation? So really you're looking at 7 functional players for the Miami Heat. I guess you could throw Thomas Bryant in there if you wanted to just spice things up. But I'm gonna guess that Jaime's starting spot. At first, I thought it was it was Haywood, but now that I'm looking at it, probably gonna be DeLon Wright is gonna get the start there. He's had a really good series, so I would imagine, especially the way that Derek White was playing, they'll probably give DeLon the start next to Tyler, and then Caleb's essentially your 3, Nico's your 4, Bam's your 5, and then Haywood's coming in, probably to spot Caleb. Patty will spot the guards, and then, maybe Spo will trot Kevin Love out there again and give that a try. So I would guess that's probably the starting lineup for Game 5. You can't rule it out. I mean, they don't have Kristaps Porzingis. Porzingis is going to be out what they're calling, several games. Does that mean if the Miami Heat are able to extend this, he's out even further? That's going to be an interesting thing. If you're looking to see where the rest of these playoffs go, that the rest of the series are all these dogfights out in the Eastern Conference. You have yesterday the Sixers, they extend their series to 6 games. You had the Cavs take a 3-2 series lead in their series, and then the Bucks, they extended their series 3 games to 2. You had 29 from Portis and 29 from Chris Middleton. So all of the East series are going at least 6. Can the Miami Heat follow suit with this? Because you could even look and be like, hey, the Bucks very, very banged up with everything they're dealing with. Maybe nobody's as banged up as the Miami Heat, and nobody's going up against the number 1 team in the NBA. But as you saw, everybody showed the guts in their Game 5, and they were able to extend it a little bit. So if I can't rule out that Miami can go in there, first of all, there's a couple things you could say. One, Bam's had a really tremendous series. The metrics with him on or off the court, the team is getting outscored by 40 when he's off the court. But when he's on there, they've outscored Boston. Does that mean he's got a 48-minute game in him? I don't know. Tyler, you're hopeful can have a game where he's due to, not just have a nice game, but like go off. And if that happens, if they have, their 2 Kentucky guys go off, yeah, I think that they could have a shot. Now, on the flip side of that, you did just have a pretty pedestrian performance from their 2 stars in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Will Miami continue to be able to throw things at them that make them uncomfortable? That's definitely a big ask. But with how much success the road teams have had in this series, I wouldn't rule out that Miami could get this done. The thing is like, and Eric Spoelstra really made that a point, and a lot of the guys did. I think they're all realizing how frustrating and embarrassing that it is that they've lost 6 straight playoff games in front of their fans. The thing is like, though, if you're going to extend this to a Game 6, the idea that you're going to come back for a Game 6 and maybe get drubbed on your, like, don't come back for Game 6 and lose Game 6. Like you're not only teasing your fans, you're going to just even like stick the dagger in a little bit more. Task at hand, of course, but this is you're getting to a point where it's like this is a lot to handle. Cool. They don't have Porzingis. They finally have to deal with a little bit of injury adversity in this series. But yeah, Miami being without 3 starters essentially in this series, right? Like they had gone this thing with, honestly, probably thought you were going into this with, Bam, Jimmy, Nico, Terry Rozier was starting. And then, the Tyler thing was going to be an interesting question. Obviously, with Duncan's injury, Duncan might have ended up, if Duncan never got hurt, they might have been heading to a place where Tyler was going to be the 6th man off the bench, which is where he's had his most NBA success. And so you could essentially look at that bench and be like, functionally, they're without 3 starters. They're without their, they're without their starting point guard. Duncan Robinson has been reduced to, let's see if the back doesn't really hurt, but every time he goes out there, it hurts. Jaime Jaquez is absolutely, one of the key rotation guys. And then obviously you don't have Jimmy. So it's a big ask. It's a big ask. Can Spo have one of his crazy masterpieces? Maybe. But they got to execute. I feel like Spo has gotten them to have a good game plan, especially the last game, and it was just a matter of they got to hit shots, they got to execute, and that just has not been there for this Heat team. So we'll see what they can dial up here in Game 5.